So a little different thing today. One of my favorite dishes. Whenever I'm cooking, it seems like I got a couple buddies. They're kind of getting a little interested in what I'm doing. That's cool. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be wanting food. Yeah. Pretty baby. Bernie, such a good boy. Here's our kitty. Mitzi doesn't go after the cooking like the dogs do. She doesn't care. She only wants her cat food. Anyway, this is a dish I call rarebit. I don't know what it's called really, but it's my dad used to call it shit on a shingle. Anyway, there's just a few ingredients. One of them is bacon. So, yay. So what I do is I get the nowadays I'm just cooking for me. So I get the smallest pack of little bacon I can find. I find that Kroger bacon is actually pretty good. It's the thick cut stuff. I don't have the package to show you, but it's actually really good. It's cheap, and so I cut it in about 1/2 inch slices, just right down, then kind of large minced fashion. I just cook them, slow cook them on the stove, and usually have the heat on. Yeah, nice spatula. Way to go. Way to melt that thing down at some point in this life. Anyway, getting back to the bacon thing, I usually cook it probably, I'm going to say slow cook it just under medium. I'll show you the setting on the stove in a second. And it takes about a half hour, maybe 40 minutes. I slow cook it. I don't want it to burn. I hate crunchy, burnt bacon. I know a lot of people like that. Bernie's like, come on, give me some, give me some. No. Anyway, this is going to go on for a minute. Next here's another little, well, it's a little more cooked. You see it's kind of caramelizing around the edges, but I cook it all the way through. Just try to keep it tender. I don't like crunchy bacon, so I'm not a fan. Anyway, that's the first part of this. I didn't show myself cutting it, but I'll add a little bit pepper to that. But it's real simple. You just put it out on a cutting board and cut it down to, like I said, about 1/2 inch chunks. Pepper, yeah, that's what it is. And then I go to the next ingredient here. It's going to be I like the big white mushrooms. You can use any kind of mushroom you like. If you like the darker colored ones, or even portobellos, you could use whatever you wanted to. I just like the white ones, the big ones, just because they slice up nice and you have some substance to them when you cook them down. They're not little pieces. Anyway, wash them off, of course. That cutting board and knife have been sanitized since I used it for the bacon. Something Melanie taught me. Kept me healthy all these years, I guess. Never got salmonella or anything like that. Just kind of ingrained how to cook and what to do and what not to do. Cross-contamination, all that stuff. Anyway, I'm going to finish washing these things. Not very many of them. I got to think about it. Probably a third of a pound, maybe. 6 or 7 large ones. That's about it. They don't weigh very much. Pretty light. Pretty cheap too. Let me fix the camera a little bit here. Anyway, I just slice these up. A little bit thicker than about 1/8 of an inch, because they do cook down. And it's nice to have, when you're biting into the final good, it's nice to have a chunk of mushroom that you can actually instead of just it being an afterthought. But let this go for a minute. That's about the size I like them. Kind of big and thick. Tamsin is such a beautiful dog. She's very pretty. Yeah. What you doing? You got smells on your hands. I like those smells. Yep, nothing. Got nothing, dude. It's like, what do you got in your other hand? You didn't show me. Oh, yeah. Called that damn camera. So, back to the bacon thing. It's been going a while. You can see it's significantly more cooked than it was on the last bit of footage. So, it's part of the, like I said, it takes a while. It's not, just fry up, and not like I'm a line chef and doing this for money. So, yeah, there you go. Bernie's in the, he hangs out in here when I'm in the kitchen cooking. He's so funny. She just, she hangs out. Oh, look, Kitty decided to join us. Oh, yeah, I'm going to give you some. All right, here's some more bacon footage. It's my favorite. You can see it's cooking up. It's caramelizing well. So, you got to keep stirring it, otherwise it'll burn. So you want to cook it evenly and thoroughly, obviously. So that's a thing. But I do like it. Like I said earlier, I like bacon tender. I'm just not a big fan of the crunchy, overcooked, I call it, bacon. Most catering services, like when I go to a hotel or whatever, they bake them actually in strips, and they're pretty thick cut, and they're very tender, and that's kind of my favorite. But this is how I cook them at home for this particular dish, and they cook through and through. Here we go. I think we're almost done with we're getting pretty close to being done with the bacon here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this bacon up, and then I will I'll take them and kind of drain them out and put them in a little side dish there that just set them aside for now. But I do keep the bacon grease, and the reason I do that is because I use it to cook the mushrooms. It makes the mushrooms a little tastier, and I don't have to come up with a different medium. It's already there. It's working fine for me. Bacon grease is a well accepted cooking medium, at least in my opinion. But this stuff is almost ready. You can see that bubbles are finishing out, the fatty stuff, and kind of cooking the fat off of them. But the meat is still nice and tender, and then I'll, of course, I'll show you what I do next after that. But so basically, here at this point, this stuff is done, and I have to do this one-handed. It's difficult to hold this camera and actually do stuff one-handed. Just so you know. If you had a helper, or even some kind of a mount or something. But what I'm doing is I've lifted the pan up in one corner so that the grease all drains to the bottom, and then I kind of bring the meat up into the corner of the pan and get the grease falling off of it, and then I just kind of spoon it in onto the plate here out of the pan. I'm going to keep that grease. I'll use that in a second here. Show you. Pain in the ass doing this one-handed, let me tell you. It goes a lot quicker, and it's a lot easier if you got two hands doing this, because then you can just do it real quick. But it's okay. I got this. Whoop. Just one. Yeah, like I said, one-handed. This sucks. I'm going to actually say, you know what, it sucks so bad, I'm not even going to do it. I'm going to actually go to two-handed method here, It's way more better, way easier. Oh, look at that dog. He's like, oh, daddy, is that for me? So cute. He's absolutely the best head tilt guy. Oh, so cute. Yeah, so I set that aside and get ready for the next step in this operation, which is going to be cooking down the mushrooms. So basically there's my cut mushrooms, and the heat is I kind of left it low at this point, so I'm just kind of get it started, and then I end up actually turning the heat up on this a little bit, just past medium, up past medium, so that it sautés them properly. Anyway, we'll get through this mushroom cooking stuff, and then my baby. Now I gotta wash my hands. Damn it! It's all right. So coming back to this, I've got the these are cooking down, as you can see. Yeah, nice and brown, nice and saute-y. So next step of this thing is the cheese, and you can use any kind of cheese you want. Cheese I have in this particular case is Tillamook Sharp Cheddar. Adam gave that to me. He bought it by mistake. He was trying to get medium cheddar, and he bought the sharp, and he goes, ugh, I don't like sharp. I go, well, I do. Well, I'll eat that. So I said, yeah, hell yeah, bring it on. So he gave me this nice loaf, which is awesome. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. So I'm going to grate up some cheese here. It's kind of the next step of this thing. Got the grater, again, re-sanitized cutting board. And well, the dogs love cheese. Whenever I get the cheese bricks out, they know something awesome is about to happen, because I can smell it like from across the street. They love cheese. Ooh, man, I wish this thing had a this recorder in this program that I use. It had a little what you call the sneeze button thing. I wouldn't have to lose my cadence in trying to describe what I'm doing here, but then you wouldn't have to listen to me sneeze. But anyway, sorry about that. It's cold out in the shop right now. It's probably 55 maybe, and I'm not used to that kind of temperature. I like it warmer. But anyway, so you grate some cheese. I don't really grate a lot. You don't need a lot for this dish. It's maybe I don't know, a cup and a half, 2 cups tops, I would say, just for what I'm doing here. Kind of knock off that cheese, throw that, close that bad boy up, put it in the fridge. Yay! Cheesy. So then what we do is we start a sauce up here, and this is basically just sauce 101. It's flour and some butter, and then salt and pepper. Yes, one-handed thing again. That butter, I got it right off the end of a cube, and it's got paper, and I hate it when they do that. I remember the old days when butter all came in foil and it just kind of slid right off. So what you do is you kind of heat these 2 ingredients up, and yeah, that's the quick mixing flour, basically. Gold Medal, Wondra. You got a cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of Wondra, 2 tablespoons of butter. You want to get some pepper and salt in there, so I get the bulk pepper out here at this point because I don't want to. Oh, there it is. Is that it? Yeah, there you go. All right. So I get the bulk pepper out here and just kind of eyeball it. I know that it's supposed to be like a, I don't know, a 1/4 teaspoon or something like that, but I just eyeball it, throw it in there. Same with the salt. You're supposed to have a certain amount, like an teaspoon or something like that. I just kind of salt it to taste. I don't use a lot. So what you do is you take this little mixture and you put it on the warm burner that we still have left over from cooking the bacon and the mushrooms. This is a different pan though. I have moved up to the, I think this is what, the 12-inch versus the 8-inch or 10-inch that I had earlier. I use these Teflons just because I don't want to have to go through 2 cast iron pans, and they're a pain in the ass to clean and everything, so this works better. So what we do, just basically melt the butter in here. It starts to get itself wound into the flour, and they kind of coagulate into this mixture that you just kind of heat it up for a while, let it fry. It takes a minute to do this too. I always do this, all this stuff I'm doing on medium heat more or less. There's no reason to have anything higher than that, really. So that's that kind of mixture right there I'm talking about. It's basically butter, flour, peppermint, salt. It's the base of the sauce. Kind of what this shit on a shingle is basically loaded sauce. It's loaded cheese sauce, more or less. So I do let all the butter melt and all this stuff, you know, mix well, and I let it cook for a little while like that. Kind of mix it up. I'm seeing a second here. There you go. So that's kind of what it looks like when you're in a good position to start adding fluid to it. In this case, milk. 1 cup of milk for a cheese sauce. It's a white sauce basically. And then I add the cheese to the white sauce is how this works. So see, it's kind of peppery, but that dissipates a lot. When you put a cup of milk and a cup and a half, 2 cups of cheese into this sauce, it's not really like super peppery. You know, like I said, it spreads out. You don't even hardly see it in the final sauce, but it's in there. Oh baby. Turn that up just a little bit to get the sauce going, because I'm going to need the heat later once I integrate all the ingredients. And then I still have one surprise ingredient yet to show you, but that's I do that after I've mixed all the others and got this sauce where I like it. So you bubble this stuff up. You see it's kind of bubbling now. That's kind of, you know, what you want to start with your white sauce. And one-handed again. Here I go. Okay, let's see. Change hands or whatever. There we go. I'll grab the milk. I'll start adding this slowly in there, just a little bit at a time. And kind of get that stirred into it. At first, it doesn't take very long for it to do well, but the more fluid you add, the longer it takes to get back into a sauce form. And then at the end of this, if I recall correctly, I added the last bit of fluid. I probably added it too fast. I should have gone a little slower and done this process, which is kind of just stirring the milk into the flour butter mixture, which kind of makes the sauce. So try to mix it pretty thoroughly and let it coagulate more so it gets more saucy, meaning thick. It's saucy. You can see this pepper's kind of spreading out a little bit. So I'm kind of jumping the gun here. I should have done a little bit more stirring and letting that coagulate better on that last run, and then I think I'm going to do it again here in a minute. And that's just because I'm kind of doing this one-handed, and I'm holding the stupid GoPro thing, so overthinking it again. But you see, I just didn't wait long enough, but it didn't ruin it. It just takes longer to cook. It's just better when you kind of let it get thicker first. Makes the easier part of making the cheese sauce. It takes a while. You have to stir it, let it warm up, and here's where my major mistake was. I just ended up dumping like a third of a cup in there. Yeah, it took a while. It took a minute for this to get up to speed. But as you can see, I've added the cheese to the mix now on the left on my cutting board. Getting ready to get that happening, but like I said in the last cut is I just dumped that fluid in too quickly and didn't wait long enough, and now I'm paying the price. I'm having to stir it longer and get it to heat up to the point where it's just too liquidy right now. So right now I'm kind of just cooking it still, getting the sauce as saucy as I can before I add the cheese, because that's important. So you can start to see the sauce get a little thicker, but it's still pretty thin. It's not as thick as I like it. Dang it. Anyway, it's like watching paint dry. Boring. So, yeah, I'm looking at that cheese going, is it ready? I'm going to let that set for a minute. Stir it around a little bit more. Hopefully it'll thicken up. I mean, obviously, when the cheese gets in there, the thing will cook down, and it will get thick. That was kind of one of the complaints that Melanie had about this, is that I made it too thick, and she liked it kind of runnier. This is ends up ultimately getting put on toast, i.e. the shingle. But it was always too thick. She wanted it runnier, and I kind of experimented with this sauce mixture, with the variables being the butter and the flour mixture, to try to get it to her taste, but I don't think I ever got there. She just never was a big fan. So I'm still kind of in a limbo here, because I'm not feeling good enough to add the cheese to it yet, because I'm not liking the texture. I want it to be thicker, to be a little bit more cooked down. So I add a little heat to it, a little time, and now I'm thinking, all right, let's take a look. Well, it's really not all that. Still not. Maybe I should have added just a touch more flour to this, but it didn't matter. It was too late. So I'll let this cook down for a little while still before it's starting to sauce up. You can see the swirls. They're starting to slow down, and I'm going to go ahead and start throwing some cheese in here. That'll help thicken it up as well. Just put a little bit in at a time. Just kind of sprinkle it around so it melts evenly in there. And yeah, sorry about that background noise. Those are actually amplifier fans, and anyway. So it's warm enough to melt that cheese pretty quick, as you can see, but the texture will definitely thicken up over a period of time of just letting this sauce kind of slow cook. Obviously, when we start adding more ingredients, it's going to thicken up too, but see how that color is changing from that white sauce we had earlier to kind of a orangey, cheese colored, cheddar colored sauce there. It's yummy. And this is good for anything. You can use this for like a fondue, or if you want some cheese sauce for some vegetables or something. This is a good way of making that. I love cheese and bacon and mushrooms and all this stuff that's in here. It's some of my favorite ingredients, certainly. Bring them all together like this and is always fun. I don't make this dish very often because it is kind of a pain in the ass. It takes a lot of dishes, as you can see. It takes a cutting board, a knife, 2 fry pans, and at least 2 holding dishes that I use for the ingredients. So I mean, and then something to eat it from. So you have to actually have another plate to eat the stuff. So it's, but at the end of the day, that's nice and thick. It's thickening up nice. At the end of the day, you have kind of a sink full of crap that you have to fix. I'm actually recording the audio. I think it's like 2 days after this. I had a show yesterday, so this is I made this 2 days ago. So here I am dumping in the pre-cooked ingredients, the mushrooms, the bacon, into the cheese sauce. Get that stirred in there, and it kind of shocks the sauce a little bit with with having non-hot things going into it. So I like to let the sauce kind of reheat back up to a certain level to get all the ingredients going. So that's primarily it. Now I'm going to turn that down a little bit and let it simmer. Now here's the coming up to the last ingredient that I use for this, and like I said earlier, you just serve this on toast. Now you can toast it or you can have it raw. I actually like toast it and then put a little butter on it. That's kind of my favorite way to eat it. Just, taste that cheese sauce. I remember that did taste good. And here's the final ingredient. This is these are just basically frozen peas. So I don't really put that many in there, and we really don't need to. When I make a full batch, which is like 2 cups of milk and double the sauce size and double everything size, then I would put a whole bag of the smaller little petite peas in there. But now this is also, again, going to shock the sauce. The sauce is just had introduced to it a bunch of frozen peas, and so it does take a while to cook that off and get it back down to kind of a sauce configuration here. As you can see here, that has happened. I'm going to guess that probably 5 or 10 minutes have gone by since I added those peas. But this is pretty much the final product. As I said, I don't really know what this is called. I guess it's just shit on a shingle, or however you want to characterize it. It's I was told it was called rarebit. Now it's a French dish, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Don't care. It's good. Anyway, that's my cooking show for the day. Well, it's going to be my cooking show for probably the half year, because I'm not sure how many more cooking shows I will be doing in the future. But anyway, that's one of my favorite things to eat and make. Okay, bye.